Hey, all right, everyone. Look who's back. I'm T. Krulos.
I'm Heidi Erickson.
Hey, Heidi. It's
Hey, how's
been
it going?
good. It's been a couple months now. We took a
Yeah,
break, end of November, early December. We
yeah.
made it through the new year into 2022. This is our first show of 2022.
Hooray!
So, in January, you and me both left home. You headed southeast, and I headed southwest. We'll start and talk about your trip. What was going on
uh,
there?
it was exciting. First of all, I went to a lot. Well, I went a lot of places. I saw the beautiful state of Ohio, which is
Mm,
much prettier than people give it credit for. Ended up accidentally driving through the worst part of Cleveland at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So that was an exciting adventure. I don't know if you know this, but I'm pretty sure that Cleveland is lousy with cryptids because I was pretty sure I was going to see one every corner I took. Charleston, and then I had to turn around and come back due to unforeseen but totally predictable circumstances. And then I stopped on the way back up in West Virginia to say
uh-huh.
hello to Mothman in Point Pleasant.
Country roads. Yeah,
It was it was
backwoods.
so it was exciting. It was very, dude. By the way, the Mothman statue, that ass is even better in real life than it is in photographs.
That's what I was. That was my first question. Was did you take a look at the rear end of that thing because it's got quite a donk.
You know what's scarier than Mothman is the idea that those cheeks are going to start clapping when you're taking a photograph because I was afraid I was going to lose a digit or something. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. It was totally worth doing and fantastic. We didn't actually go in and do a bunch of things in Point Pleasant, but we did get to take a picture with Mothman, which was really awesome. And I'd like to point out, too, that it was a frigid day in January. Like it was cold, and there were absolutely pointing at signs and taking their pictures with Mothman like on a random Tuesday in January, which it makes me happy that they kind of like their whole economy is sort of built off of this idea that like Mothman is there. I did get to talk to one woman who owned a business there, and she said that uh, all of Point Pleasant, which is all just old buildings. It's like 150-year-old buildings. The place, it really looks like it hasn't been updated since the 60s. If you didn't know, you would maybe think that you would slip back in time because there's no big buildings there. There's no like chain restaurants. It's the downtown is just old buildings. And she said that Point Pleasant has always been haunted and filled with a strange, weird energy, and that Mothman is by no means the weirdest thing in Point Pleasant. And she was very compelling. I believed her. I kind of want to go back there. There's an old hotel right across from the Mothman Museum that is allegedly stupid haunted,
Yeah.
stupid duper duper haunted. And you can almost like, you can kind of feel a weird energy in the place. But all of West Virginia is kind of like that, actually. West Virginia is not real. You think birds are made up? West Virginia, the whole thing, totally fictional, 100%. But you
Yeah.
went to a fictional place too, didn't you? Go to like Arizona, New Mexico, something like that. Place ain't real.
I went to New Mexico, but first I wanted to mention that I went to Point Pleasant. This was back probably around 2013, I would guess, or 14. And yeah, I had a taxi cab driver, and she was like, "Oh, you here for the Mothman Festival?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So what's Point Pleasant like? Is there other weird stuff going on?" And she said the same thing, that it was a very weird place. She said there's a lot of strange things going on in these hills.
Yeah, which I
And
mean, yeah,
I was like what? And she's like, "Oh, hellhounds." And then she mentioned that at her second job, which was at a factory, she went on her smoke break and she saw a UFO.
yeah, lots of
So
UFOs happening.
yeah. I mean, even the classic Mothman sightings, a lot of those people were seeing Mothman. They were also seeing UFOs, and
Yeah.
The Men in Black and all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah. There's like cardboard cutouts of men in black and like shop fronts all over Point Pleasant. It's
Nice.
really
I love it.
creepy. It's wonderful. And I don't know, like Appalachia in general, because I think people don't necessarily think when they think about Mothman that that part of West Virginia is dead smack in the middle of Appalachia. Appalachia is like the Appalachian Mountains, like in about 200 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, and they're one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. The Appalachian Mountains were mountains before there were vertebrates, before the fish had crawled out of the sea. Those were mountains. And there's some very, very strange things in those mountains for sure. And the people who live there, like who live a ways into the mountains, are notoriously like a whole separate American culture. And there's very strong folk magic practices there and tons of mythology that only exists in Appalachia and like crazy UFO sightings and all kinds of 411 missing person type shit. You got your Bigfoots up there. You got your Wendigos. You got your everything. They got everything. It has everything. We should go there. We should
Yeah.
record live from the Appalachians. Just take a week and just cruise up and down the Miracle Mile because I think it would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should time it to so we can be there for the Mothman Festival, of course.
Yeah, they said they were
Be
they were hoping to have it this year,
yeah.
but it's in
Yeah,
September.
but who knows? Yeah, everything's fucking up in the air again.
Yeah,
So,
I have no idea. They're probably gonna have like the Omega variant. That's the one that's gonna
yeah.
get us, I think.
The Mothman variant is the final one. Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
us done for days. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Nice.
It was pretty cool. It was kind of random. It's been a while since I've done something kind of random, but my friend Paul, who's actually our sound engineer Andrew's brother, he's also like Andrew is a talented guy, and he's an artist, and he's part of this collective, and they get paid to go to different cities and screen print art, mostly for teachers unions.
Oh,
So they have some nice signs and banners that they can have protest marches with.
that's fucking awesome. Good job, Andrew's brother
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah.
Nice work.
He's part of a really good crew, and they make these very beautiful screen printed protest signs and banners. So anyway, he was like, "Hey, I'm going down to Santa Fe to do this, and we have a budget, so the travel expenses are covered. If you want to ride with me, I mean,
Oh,
right,
nice, nice.
because he had to drive a van full of art supplies from Milwaukee down to Santa Fe.
Oh, okay. Wait, did you get that hat?
Oh
Did
no,
you?
this is old. This is an old hat. I got this many years ago.
No, the
Uh,
other. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw, but T was
oh,
looking
the
at this
hat. Oh,
super
I know
dope
what hat you mean.
hat with like the turquoise like band around it, like wide
It was
brimmed.
so Santa Fe obviously has a very strong southwestern style.
Yeah,
And the downtown is very charming. There's a lot of kind of Wild West themed stores or Southwestern arts, little galleries and stores. So I saw like the ultimate Southwestern hat. It's round on the top. It's like a 10-gallon hat, except it's round. It's tan. Everything in Santa Fe, they love the color scheme of tan and turquoise.
right. Because it's
So the
awesome.
hat, the hat is tan. It had the silver hat band with some turquoise gems in it, and I was like, "This
Yeah.
is so over the top. It would be so awesome if I rolled back into town wearing this hat."
Yeah, it
But I
super
didn't
would
get
have
it.
been. You could have been. You could have been like the colonel, like the guy who was Elvis's manager. That was my vision. When I showed my one partner, Todd, he's okay. Todd is really obsessed with that movie from the 70s about like the ninja cowboy named Billy Jack. Are you aware of this movie?
Nope, I want to see it for sure.
Oh my God. There's Billy Jack Returns, and there's the trial of Billy Jack. And the
Wow.
star of this movie is this real person whose name was Billy and his wife. And it was during the 70s when there was all these white people who thought it was super cool to like go hang out on reservations with people and like smoke weed and like wear beads and shit like that. And the movies are all about him like defending these reservation kids from I don't know, whatever. but in the whole movie, he's wearing like this black hat with the turquoise band around it. And he will like the whole thing about taking off your shoes before you kick somebody so that you don't break their nose when you kick them in the face is a Billy Jack thing. And Todd saw that hat and he was so jealous. He's like, it's like Billy Jack's dad wears that hat. And I was like, dude, that would be perfect for T because T is like 7 feet tall. And if he was wearing like a 10-gallon hat, he would easily clock in at like 8'2".
Right.
He'd be
Well,
terrifying. You'd be the king of Milwaukee in that hat.
well, you can tell
Wouldn't do it.
Todd that it's still sitting in the shop window. So
The
if he can make
waste.
it down to Santa Fe, then it's all his. So
I'm gonna find one on like antiques on Pierce. Another very haunted place that no
oh
one has ever
yeah,
investigated, must say.
a
Why
very
has no one
cool place. Yeah, yeah.
why has no one ever investigated antiques on Pierce? That place
Hmm.
has got to be just lousy with poltergeists and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
come on, all those antiques in there, and they've got
yeah.
the whole third floor now, which is antiques that are too weird to just be in a regular booth. Really,
Yeah,
like stuff that's
yeah,
been rescued from like flooded houseboats and house fires and stuff like that.
yeah,
Talk
yeah.
to those folks.
Yeah,
But I bet you,
there's some amazing stuff in there. And if you're
yeah,
listening, Antiques on Pierce is an antique store here in Milwaukee, and it's
it's it's
huge. It's like
the
a
it's
warehouse.
it's the antique store in Milwaukee. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say it. I just went ahead and validated that. But yeah, I bet you I could find you. I bet you I
yeah.
could find you a 10-gallon hat and antiques on Pierce.
I
It
would
might
not
even
be
have.
surprised.
It might even.
It's quite a collection in there.
Yeah, they should separate them into things that come with ghosts and things that don't
Yeah.
come with ghosts. Because I want a hat with a cowboy ghost attached to it.
Nice. Yeah, Santa Fe was really cool. I love places that have like a very distinct identity. So, especially in the downtown area, all the buildings are in this Pueblo style of architecture,
Ugh, I love that.
and they're very proud of their chiles. So, you will see bundles of dried chiles hanging all over the place off of like city street lamps. People hang them on their porch, businesses hang them by their door. It's just that's just a
It,
look. It's like, hey, everyone, we all need to be on board with the same thing here. All right, Pueblo style houses and buildings, chili peppers, tan and turquoise. That's the look, and
you know,
and everyone does it.
the chili peppers are not just an aesthetic choice, you know.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, I know that they make a very good chile sauce, which
No, I mean,
every which they eat on everything. There's a green
no,
chile sauce and a red chile sauce, and you can get them mixed into a Christmas chili sauce.
delicious. I would never say no to chili sauce, but I mean
Yeah.
specifically hanging chili peppers by your door like that is supposed to ward off ill intention and
Oh
invite
sure.
prosperity.
Or
Um,
coyotes. Yeah.
you can't. Coyotes hate chili peppers. Just throw the chilies right at them. They're not good. They don't like that. Well, that's marvelous. I'm glad you got a vacation. We really were
Yeah.
busting it at the end of last year. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, holy macaroni! It was time for some R and like special, like just what do they call it? Like recreational weirdness, not professional weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah. There's there's two spots that I checked out in Santa Fe that I highly recommend people check out if they ever go there. The first was the International Folk Art Museum,
Oh,
which was the whole thing was amazing. And they have rooms where like they had a display of musical instruments from Mexico and Central America, and they had another room that had a display of like traditional Scandinavian dress, and they had a display of talismans from around the world. You know,
I don't. I don't really think about Scandinavians being in New Mexico, but sure. I mean, I
oh
guess.
no, it's the International Folk Art Museum, so it
Oh,
has like different displays of different folk customs from around the world. Um, the coolest thing that they had, and it was a temporary display, but they had a display that centered on the yokai, which are the traditional Japanese ghosts and demons and
oh,
monsters.
that's awesome.
So, they had costumes and art, and it ranged. It ranged from they had a Japanese scroll from the 1600s that was
Whoa.
on display in a case, and the scroll was titled "The Night of the Parade of 100 Demons." And
Amazing.
so they had these 100 demons illustrated in this scroll.
Whoa. Oh, that sounds cool.
And I was like, I hope no supervillain steals the scroll and
Oh,
unleashes
yeah.
the demons.
That's some
But
Lex Luthor shit for sure. Yeah.
but
Yeah, you're right.
it ranged all the way up into, and then they showed some more modern like manga comics that had interpretations of yokai in them, and it was super cool. It was such a cool display.
That's
But
awesome.
the best part is there's a part where you walk through this haunted room
There's a haunted room in the museum.
in the museum in this display,
Oh.
and you like go down this kind of narrow hallway, and what it is there's motion sensors, so you'll trip a motion sensor, and then all of a sudden the statue of a monster will light up and it'll like scream at you,
I love it.
or like one like blasted air into your face as you're walking by.
Educational haunted house. So cool. Ugh.
I
Yeah,
was like, why don't more museums do shit like this? Like, this
that's
is
so cool.
really awesome, and it's like, immersing you into the subject matter. And
I bet you we could set up a Milwaukee haunted museum of fun. There's so
Yeah.
many good stories from Milwaukee, like the airship one. We could definitely have a motion trigger when someone stepped over it, like a giant airship like glowed overhead, or something about the fire maybe, or wow, there's just so many good ones. We should
Yeah.
find a space and do that. I'd be totally into that, especially after a couple drinks. Don't you think people be like, let's go haunted Milwaukee?
Yeah, it was super awesome. The whole museum was, one of the rooms was very much reminiscent of like House on the Rock, where
Sure.
it was collections of like children's toys and sculptures from different parts of the world, from different time periods, all kind of mixed together in this huge display. And
That's really cool.
yeah, it was pretty wild. The
Didn't
other, oh, go ahead.
Didn't you go to Meow Wolf is what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah.
Weirdo bucket list, amazing.
Yeah. Meow Wolf. So if you haven't heard of it, it's a little hard to describe. Again, kind of like House on the Rock, except it's much more interactive
Right.
and has a different sort of style to it. There's 3 locations now. The original one is in Santa Fe, and they got a lot of funding from a feller named George R.R. Martin,
Yeah.
who lives in Santa Fe. And I really love the fact that he's kind of contributed back to the city that he lives in. He helped fund Meow Wolf. He also bought a movie theater which shows independent film.
Really
and he
cool.
opened his own bookstore called Beastly Books, which specializes in fantasy and sci-fi. And as you can imagine, has a lot of signed books by him. I bought one of his signed books.
That's so cool. Good
Yeah.
vacation, T. Nice work.
Yeah, but Meow Wolf was so cool. So they're all a little bit different. There's the original one, Santa Fe, and there's also ones in Las Vegas and Denver. And I hear a pretty strong rumor that more are going to be appearing in other cities soon, after the pandemic eases up, maybe. But the original one is you pay and you go in, and there's a big. You're obviously in a big building, but the first thing you see is a full-size townhouse. And you're like, okay, this is weird. And you walk through the front door, and then there's really no directions or map or anything. You just kind of wander around, and you sort of like a choose your own adventure. It kind of depends on where you go. So, for example, you can walk into the house and go into the kitchen, open the refrigerator door, and you can walk through the refrigerator into a different room.
I love it.
You can slide through the drying machine in the house. You can crawl underneath the fireplace, and there's all these different little rooms.
I love it.
One is kind of spaceship themed. One's like this weird neon forest that you walk through, and there's sculptures and different pieces of art all over the place,
That's
and
so
it's
cool.
yeah, it's wild.
That's super cool.
I didn't notice until I got there, but my friend Marky, who used to hang out in River West quite a bit,
Oh, I know that
randomly,
guy.
Marky
Yeah.
de la Cruz,
Yep. Sure do.
he decided during the pandemic that he was just gonna ghost Milwaukee and move somewhere in the Southwest, and he ended up in Santa Fe.
Good for him.
Um, and he works at Meow Wolf
Oh,
as
he
a
does.
yeah,
That's perfect. I
yeah,
love that.
he works there as a janitor. He said it's a really good job, except sometimes people like to do a lot of psychedelics, and then they go to Meow Wolf, and it's a little bit too much for them, and they projectile vomit, and then he has
Yeah.
to clean it up.
Yeah, you'll
So
have that for sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, these are the risks you take when you sign up for that job. You're working at Meow Wolf, you're talking projectile vomiting, probably other bodily fluids. You
yeah,
got what?
yeah,
You got time travelers sliding in and out of dimensions here, there, and
right,
everywhere. We all know what kind of mess that makes. Like, could be anything. But the
yeah,
benefits are just, you can't knock them. Yeah,
yeah.
I can't think of any weirdo who would turn down any kind of job working at Meow Wolf because that place is just
It's full of weirdos. So you're with your
choice.
people.
Choice
Uh,
weirdness.
yeah, I love the interactive aspect. Like for example, you go into one room and there's this giant neon skeleton of a woolly mammoth or something,
Wow.
and you can walk into its rib cage, and then you can play its ribs like a xylophone. You know?
That is so great. Okay, now is this like a collective of artists who have done Meow Wolf? I said George R.
Yeah,
R. Martin had funded it, but like,
yeah.
do they have a name or is it just like a rotating group of people who participate in this, or what's the deal?
Well, I mean, the general collective, I think, is this called Meow Wolf, which I was
Sure.
told they got that name by putting a bunch of words into a hat and then pulling two out, and those two words happen to be Meow Wolf. So,
It's perfect.
so it originates in Santa Fe. The Las Vegas one looks really cool. They actually bought an old supermarket, and then they made like the trippiest supermarket on earth. Is kind of the theme of that one, called Omega Mart.
Oh, Mega Mart, I love that. I think there's a I think in gosh, it's got to be not West Dallas, Oak Creek maybe. There's a wherever the Arby's is, the old Arby's that still has the giant neon hat sign, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
Right not far from there, there is what used to be a Kmart and then became I don't know that Jesus would be okay with that, but like it's now abandoned. Those people
Wait,
gave it up
you cut out for a second. It was a Kmart, and then it became a what?
a church. It was
Oh,
a
okay.
church.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the weirdest, like that's not uncommon to see churches that move into like abandoned Sears buildings and stuff like that or old like Walmarts. But whenever I see one, it's like it's the height of something special.
Yeah.
Jesus loves
Yeah.
America. America loves Jesus. But it's abandoned now. There's no church in it any longer. It's just in its big old own parking lot, like a block down from the giant Arby's hat. And I have often thought how fun it would be to take over a space like that and turn it into a giant, weird,
Yeah.
interactive art situation. That'd be super duper fun. Or just like, I love haunted houses. I don't know if you know this about me. Surprise, shocking, not at all on brand. But like having that kind of space to work with to do something would be super duper cool. There's enough weirdos in Milwaukee. We could, I don't know if it would be Meow Wolf levels of awesome, but we am I stuck or are you stuck? One of us is
Yeah.
slipping in and out of dimensions.
Yeah. You froze up a couple times here.
It's me.
Wow.
It's got to be me.
I think so. I don't know.
It is.
Yeah, no, it's very inspiring to see that someone can, a group of people can create something super cool like that, and that, at least for now, it's like an independent thing. It's not like a corporation runs Meow Wolf.
Right.
Although I'm a little hesitant to say that, because next thing you know, tomorrow we're gonna see that like Amazon bought Meow
Oh my
Wolf or
God.
something. Could happen.
George Martin won't let that happen. He won't let it happen.
He'll be like,
Please
"Give
don't let
me
that
my
happen.
money back." Yeah,
Please don't
give
let
me
that
my
happen,
money.
George. I wonder about George R. R. Martin sometimes because, like, I mean, there was that whole debacle with Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones was on for like 10 years and the last season was just,
Yeah.
I don't know if you were into that or not. The last season was,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a little disappointing. It left a lot
Yeah.
of loose ends. A lot of people weren't big fans. Even the cast said they were willing to reshoot the entire season.
Oh my
Uh,
God. It was such a weird cultural phenomenon because it was like the hottest show. Everyone
yeah,
was talking about it.
yeah,
Everyone was talking about Game of Thrones. The
yeah,
finale happens, done. Game of
yeah,
Thrones is
because
over.
it was so anticlimactic. 10 years they built that up and they just like closed the door on it. Yeah, it was super sad for me because I was very into it. Um, but George Martin's books, the Fire and Ice series that he based those books on, is not finished. He has not ever published a finale for that. And the last
Right.
book that
Yeah.
came out in
Yeah.
that series came out like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And George
10.
R. R. Was it
Yeah.
10 years ago?
Yeah, at
Oh,
least.
oh my God, how is that possible?
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin is not getting any younger. And
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think he still has like a 28-year-old girlfriend, possibly live. But I'm very curious as to how he's going to end it because I know he had a hand in writing the show right
Yeah.
up until the last two seasons when it fell apart.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time that he did it on purpose. Like maybe it ended that badly on purpose. So by comparison, no matter how the books ended, it was going to be 1,000 times better, right? Like it didn't matter. Like even if like one of the characters woke up and it was all a dream and they picked up a snow globe like in St. Elmo's Fire, they'd be like, oh, went back to work at the fucking Quick Trip or whatever. It would still be better than how it ended on TV. But I do kind of wonder how it's going to end.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was very, very tempted when I went into his bookstore. I was going to ask the employees, hey, where's George R. R. Martin? Is he sitting in the back room finishing that book or what?
Please.
But I walked in, I saw the employees, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I can tell they're not going to think this is funny at all.
Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't have been the first time.
Right.
I'm sure it wouldn't have been the first time. Or
I
maybe he'll
was
just
like,
leave it unfinished. I'd kind of like that for him too. That would be a very George R. R. Martin thing to do. I know he said once, I love George R. R. Martin as a person because like 12 years ago, somebody asked him who was going to die, who was going to live, how it was going to end. And at the end of this little press junket or whatever, he said the last book is just going to be a 900-page description of the snow blowing across all of their graves. And like got up and left. And I was like, please adopt me, George R. R. Martin. You're wonderful. Because that's exactly how I would have wanted to answer that. I'm like, I'm killing all of them. Fuck them kids.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I
beautiful.
also, me and some of the crew there went out somewhere to get dinner, and it was in my head. So we
Yeah.
walked in, and I saw this guy sitting at a table. All right, he's a little bit the same size as George R. R. Martin. I can see he has a white beard and white hair, and he's wearing a hat like he always does. And I was like, oh, what luck! Like a first day in town, and there's George R. R. Martin. He's sitting right at that table.
That would have
I
been
was, I
amazing.
was super excited for a second, and then we walked by the table, and I was like, rubbernecking, and I was like, "Oh, that's not him."
That's just Bob. That's just Santa Fe Bob. Pay him no mind.
Right? Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was great stuff, though. You had a magnificent trip. Your trip sounds way more entertaining than mine. Although I did get to stand really close to Mothman's ass crack, so I guess I win. I don't know.
That's awesome.
But now that's happened, and we're back, and it's a new season, and we're doing the damn thing. We're back in the saddle. I trust
Yeah.
Andrew will add like a yeehaw rawhide sound effect right there.
All right. Weird news. There's been a lot of weird news over the last couple months. By the way, if you're listening to this and you haven't join the Tease Weird Week Facebook group. That is the well that we tap into often
It's true.
to find stories because everyone is really great in seeing a weird story and they're like, oh, I gotta post this to Tease Weird Week. So it's a real clearinghouse of some weird stories, occasionally a story that you maybe didn't want to know.
Sometimes. Sometimes you're like, wash my eyes.
Right.
You guys, I just flossed my eyes. Like now I'm gonna have to go back and do it again.
Uh-huh. So there was a lot of stories. This is the one that really jumped out at me while we were on break. And if you go to tcrulos.com, actually on Friday, when the full podcast comes out, I'm going to be writing a little bit about this in the T's Weird Week column. But here's a deceptively plain headline. Police, man who breached McCarran security said he wanted to steal jets. McCarran International is in Las Vegas. And this happened December 9th while we were on break. A man named Matthew Hancock, he's 36. He's a limo driver, so he drove his limo to McCarran. He was wearing a clown mask, incidentally. He made a loud entrance because he went through a security gate and then he began doing cookies in his limousine, which is like spinning around in circles over and over again. In a limo, which is, like, kind of a big vehicle.
Like Dukes of Hazzard style.
Yeah, just like spinning around in a circle, being, probably going, fuck yeah, in his clown mask.
Just like shaking a bottle of Faygo and letting it squirt. Because he's with the insane clown posse, right? Like that's what the
I think he is an insane clown posse of one.
Of one, all by himself. Yep. Beautiful.
So then he drives onto the aircraft ramp. He's driving past parked jets. He stops his car. A bunch of employees come out and they're like, what are you doing on the runway? You can't be here in your limo, dude in the clown mask. And he screams, I have a fucking bomb. I'm going to blow this place up. So the authorities show up and, draw their guns on him. And he says that, so he was detained. And as he was being detained, he stated that his limo contained a bomb and that he'd come to the airport to steal a jet because he wanted to fly to Area 51 to look at aliens. So they looked in his limo and there was a fake bomb. It was made out of a fire extinguisher and an oxygen tank that were wired together on a piece of wood with some Christmas tree lights decorating it.
How festive. It was right before Christmas.
Right. I guess, I don't know what the Christmas tree lights were about, but.
Okay, so that's okay. So, So the guy, you hear this story and you think it's Las Vegas. He's wearing a clown mask. He's driving a limo. He's whipping shitties in the middle of the parking lot and what have you. My first thought was, okay, this guy was fucking wrecked, right? He was down on Fremont Street taking shots at. If you ever go to Las Vegas, there's a place called Fremont Street and there's a giant, huge television screen that arches over the whole block and there's bars and strip clubs. And in front of these bars and strip clubs, there are outdoor bars where you can buy shots and stuff like while you're walking on the street. No, don't ever do that. That is not Midori. There is something fucked up in those bottles. It is not for you to drink. I thought he had done the Fremont tour and then just gone to the airport randomly because he had a Flight of the Navigator moment and was like, fuck it, I want to see some aliens. But the fact that he took the time to wire together an oxygen tank and a fire extinguisher and then festively decorate it with Christmas lights, that has some level of like premeditation to it. So was this guy, did he have a history of mental illness or?
I'm going to assume so. The other interesting thing was that he was very proud of. He told officers that he had become TikTok famous after a video on the social media platform went viral showing him drifting his limousine on the Las Vegas strips a few weeks ago.
Whoa.
So drifting, what does that mean? He's just like
it means like you're going real fast. You go to take a sharp turn, you put your foot on the brake and you slide.
You
and you
slide.
slide. It's the
Yeah.
cha-cha slide, except people
Right.
die if you do it wrong.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. Some people just can't handle fame. They can't.
Right.
Clown mask guy, Kirk Cameron. Like some people just shouldn't be famous because they're gonna fuck it up. It's gonna go right to their head. So he
Yeah.
got TikTok famous for drifting his limo. That
Yeah.
explains the shit he says. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. Because that's his trademark. That's his calling card. Like the wet
Right.
bandits in Home Alone, except instead of turning the sink on, he's got to do stupid shit with his whole limo. And then he say why he wanted to see aliens? Just
Just said he wanted to see them. And I love how, like, what do you think was going to happen? He's going to, like, hold up this super fake looking bomb, and the police were going to be
yeah,
like, you know what? We're doing it. Get on the jet.
right.
We're flying you to Area 51 so you can see these dark secrets being stored there
You know what? It
because
sounds
he totally got us.
like on paper, you're like, obviously that's not going to work. There's some big holes in your plan, some
Right.
big holes in your view of reality. But so many totally fucking crazy things happen all the time, just absolutely banana ramas that I can see, especially if you're the kind of person who thinks that the government is run by lizard people and stuff of that nature,
Yeah.
that you could be like, whatever, what's the worst that could happen? Truthfully, the worst that could happen is he could have been shot to death wearing a clown mask, and
Yeah.
that would have been like his very much his whatever
I think he
his
was
swan
lucky. Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's super lucky because he rolled into it was a military base. No, there were armed ass people there, and he just rolled up and
Um,
like said he had a big ass
no,
bomb.
no. McCarran is the normal like airport there,
Oh, it's just the
but
regular airport. Okay,
yeah, but
okay.
what is interesting is we do know this is that there is an unmarked airplane that leaves McCarran every day. Its only code name is Janet, and this plane flies employees from McCarran to Area 51. So
Oh yeah,
he was not like far off as far
right,
as where he was
right,
because there are planes that go from McCarran to Area 51. And in
right.
fact, the only plane in the world that goes to Area 51 leaves that airport. So,
Yeah. Did you watch that? It just came out recently. That amazing documentary about the people who worked at Skunk Works, and Skunk Works was like the group of engineers who like did all the back and forth to Area 51 and what have you. Fascinating. You should check it out. But yeah, they definitely talked about that plane going back and forth, and it's a known thing. Like that's a thing that is known. So like, don't mock clown mask limo
yeah,
bomb
yeah,
guy because it was more his execution that was flawed.
right. It was somewhat flawed, yeah.
It was somewhat flawed. I think he could have
Uh,
done some more R&R in that way, but fundamentally, the basics of the plan were legit. So
there was a like all good conspiracy plots. There was some element there that's true. It's true that
right,
this unmarked airplane leaves McCarran. And you can hear some like chatter between the flight tower, like, "All right, Janet, you're clear to go," and then they fly towards Area 51, and then all of a sudden the plane disappears from radars.
right.
Because they shut off their whatever tracking thing, and then they land in Area 51. So,
See, like that's the thing too, though, is like there's that element. I have this issue also. I mean, partly it's definitely my ADHD, but also because the world does in fact work this way, is that a thing is only crazy until it works. And then it goes from being crazy to being legendary. Because you know what I mean? Like, what if he had gotten away with it? What if he had fucking just rip rolled in there, just, Duke Boys style, clown mask on, Fago in hand, and like they had, like, he had gotten on the plane and gotten to Area 51. I mean, they'd have definitely dropped him like a sack of wet laundry the second he got off the plane, but he'd have made it there, and that's what matters.
his next TikTok video is him with a limo full of extraterrestrials
Yeah.
drifting down the strip in Las Vegas.
Right. Where's the footage, Mr. TikTok famous? Where's the content, buddy? You didn't film that? What a Jesus Christ. Way to drop the ball. You got no hustle, clown guy. No hustle at all. Disappointing.
Okay, speaking of conspiracies, I mean, I love the story, even though it's not, you know, it, it's not as deeply conspiracy as it sounds. But I mean, this headline alone really grabbed me. Police don't approach lab monkey missing after crash.
Don't tell me what to do, Mr. Police Officer.
A pickup was transporting 100 monkeys to a lab, and it crashed, and some of the monkeys escaped.
How
And
many monkeys?
anyone who sees or locates the monkey, oh, so they got most of them except for one. So 99 of them, they rounded up 99, and this is just like a movie, right?
Right, the
There's
one
one that
monkey.
gets away. And the trooper said anyone who sees or locates the monkey is asked not to approach, attempt to catch, or come in contact with the monkey.
Don't make
Please
eye
call
contact with the
911.
monkey. Don't say the monkey's name. Sounds like Beyonce backstage. Do not speak to the monkey. Okay. So I read that article and there's so many beautiful lines in that article.
Yeah.
So many beautiful lines. Also, it's highly suspicious, and not because there was 100 monkeys on a truck going to a laboratory. Or were they coming from a laboratory? I think they were coming from a laboratory and
Yeah.
going to another laboratory. Here's some things about this that are extra fishy. First of all, the people who are reporting on this have no idea who was really involved in the crash, or whether or not those people are healthy or if they got injured. They don't know what happened to the person who was driving the truck. No
Yeah.
idea, no info on that. Like, it's all very, like, there's big, like, blank spots in it. Like, someone took a big Sharpie over big parts of that story. And you just can't do that in a story whose hook is
Yeah.
a lab monkey escaped. Don't touch it. Like,
Yeah.
you
Even
gotta,
this article is mysterious. It says the location of the quarantine facility and the type of research for which the monkeys were apparently destined. Oh, so they're going to the lab. Weren't clear. But these types of monkeys are often used in medical studies. That's like all the information on
like, you guys make something up. Tell them
it.
that they were studying a new toenail fungus cure or something. Just make it up, you guys. You can't just have a mystery monkey running around. That's not okay. And how do we know that they got 99 monkeys and there's only one monkey out there? There could be 15 monkeys out there, and they're going to be like, unless they're running together, no one's going to know it's not the same monkey. I don't trust this story one bit. No, sir. I don't like it. No, sir.
Okay.
Where did this happen?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Crashed on a Pennsylvanian highway. And it looks like, okay, here's an updated article. It says that last of escaped monkeys accounted for and 3 euthanized after crash in Pennsylvania. So they're saying that they got all the monkeys. But
Okay. I think anytime there's laboratory monkeys passing through your neighborhood, you should have they should have collars on, and everybody in the neighborhood should be able to pull up an app, the Lab Monkey app, fucking viralload.com app, and know where those monkeys are at all times within 50 feet of where you are. Also, you guys, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. You're gonna have to keep your monkeys locked down, you guys. Just do not be transporting lab monkeys in janky trucks. Like, seal them in some sort of container where they are not. Did they just have them in milk crates strapped to the back of some pickup truck?
I don't. It says here. I love this because again, this is very cinematic. From this article, it says this is a local Pittsburgh CBS affiliate reporting. By the way, it said that crates littered the road Friday as troopers searched for monkeys, rifles in hand. Valley Township firefighters used thermal imaging to try to locate the animals, and a helicopter also assisted. The Free Enterprise newspaper of Bloomsburg reported.
Okay. So, yeah, I feel like there was definitely something wrong with that monkey. I don't know if it had anthrax or bubonic plague or just a bad attitude, but if it was just a monkey that had gotten loose in Pennsylvania in the middle of January, they might have looked for it and like hoped that they found it. But a monkey's not going to survive very long in, whatever. Like that's just not going to happen. Also, I had never heard of this kind of monkey before. Is this a big monkey or just like a little monkey? Medium-sized monkey?
I'm I don't know. Yeah, the name of the monkey, I was gonna try to pronounce it, but I don't even know how to pronounce the name of it. I'm
Yeah, I'd
trying to
never heard
find.
of it.
Yeah, it's I can't see the name. I love this last line of this article too. They're talking to an eyewitness, and they stopped because there's crates all over the road, and one of the drivers said he thought he saw a cat run across the road. So I'm guessing these must be small monkeys. And
Sure.
then this witness peeked into a crate and saw a small monkey looking back at her. She told the newspaper, "They're monkeys," she told the
That's
other
the
motorist.
that's the last line.
Yeah,
That's how it ends.
they're
Fantastic.
monkeys.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Sounds like a Gorillaz song. Yeah, they were just in crates. That's not how you transport lab monkeys, you guys. They have tiny little straight jackets for the tiny little monkey arms and like one of those Hannibal Lecter masks, and then you strap them in. Like there's I'm just saying they wouldn't have been going around with rifles. These weren't animals that were big enough that they were going to start dropping toddlers and housewives, picking off house pets. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah,
little monkeys. They're walking around with rifles. Don't go anywhere near it.
yeah, yeah.
Or typhoid or syphilis or something. And it was just running around in Pennsylvania.
Cynomolgus monkeys.
That sounds like a mushroom, not
Yeah,
a monkey. They're
yeah.
mushroom monkeys. Great. Now there's mushroom monkeys. Fantastic. It's just what we need.
Yeah, I mean, is this or is this not like completely a 2020/21/22
Right?
type of story? Like,
It almost feels retro. Fantastic. Yeah, that's
oh,
horrible.
great. Oh,
Hate
great.
it.
The
Hated it.
oh man,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not good news.
Nope.
Um, okay, our sound engineer Andrew posted this article into the T's Weird Week Facebook group, and I gotta say, I instantly was in love with this story. Um, Here's a headline at Dead State: Pro-Trump prophetess. I went to heaven and saw John Wayne making movies. So this Trump prophetess, good work if you can find it, I guess. Her name is Kat Kerr. Kat Kerr. She sometimes takes a trip to heaven because she can do that somehow. And so her latest visit to heaven. Here's a quote from her. She says, "I don't mind dropping names. People have seen him there." She continued, "What is he doing? Making cowboy movies. You use your gift in heaven, and I saw him making a cowboy movie in this place that looks just like the West, except there's no bandits. You're not going to roast, get scorched, be bitten by scorpions. None of that happens. So
Then what's the
I,
point, Karen?
I happen to know that John Wayne lives in this part of heaven. He loves that part of heaven."
Like,
Okay.
cool. So she goes to heaven all the time. That's just some stuff she
Once in a
does
while,
for,
I guess, just like checks in, sees what's going on,
right?
see,
Hits up that
see,
awesome donut shop on the corner.
right, checks
Uh-huh.
out the latest John Wayne movie. That's,
Yeah. Okay,
apparently he's
so
there for eternity filming cowboy movies.
see, that sounds like it sucks. That was his job. Who would
Yeah,
want to do their job for eternity? That's heaven for you. You got to work
right.
forever. That sounds shitty. I don't like that at all. Also, okay, she's a pro-Trump prophetess. Is
Yeah.
that like That's her political stance, or she's on Trump's payroll, or
Um,
what is up
I
with that?
think that she just aligns with him spiritually. Uh, there was where was this other quote? Oh yeah, Care initially marketed herself as a weather warrior who has God-given authority over weather events. And Dead State says, despite her poor track record at diverting storms, she's garnered a healthy following and even has a small in-person ministry. These days, she mostly speaks of former President Donald Trump's divine anointing by Jesus. She once sent 100 million angels to stop schools from teaching critical race theory.
Oh my God.
That's really, you have 100 million angels, this holy army. You can, stop world hunger. You can help people out that don't have houses.
Right.
Try to
Or
stop wars, or you can send them all to schools to battle critical race theory.
make sure that we keep whitewashing American history, lest anyone suspects that our entire nation is built on genocide and slavery. Well, good for you. That's excellent. I love that for you. I think that's fantastic. I think the next time she's sending 100 million angels to just do some
So,
trivial bullshit or whatever, she should stop by my house and like we'll see about fixing some of this loose plumbing and I don't know. There's a couple other things in the backyard I could get done. Some bushes I wanted to take out. What a
oh my
loser.
god.
How do you get a whole ministry and like become a person by claiming to be someone who can control the weather, then predictably failing at that? And then people are still like, she's amazing because she says she can control the weather. Well, like I guess I can say I have power over all like cocker spaniels. Jesus gave me that power. I can't prove it to you right now, but one day I will. Also, I have 100 million John Waynes just ready to
So
stop algebra. I don't know. Fuck.
it's kind of random. I mean, I get John Wayne's like a conservative hero,
Right.
like Ronald Reagan. His favorite bud was John Wayne, and he's like this tough cowboy dude. But it's also really random. Like you go to heaven, and that's like what you see: John Wayne directing a fucking cowboy movie. Like, all right.
I don't know, dude. Like, here's the thing, and I feel this a lot about a lot of people currently, is like they just have no imagination whatsoever. If you have the gall that allows you to stand in front of a group of people and verbalize that kind of bald face, outrageous bullshit, why wouldn't you say something truly interesting? You've already convinced these people that you can control the weather. What are you doing with that? It seems like you should lean into your strengths and leave John Wayne out of it. The man is dead.
Well, I mean, that's part of the. He's dead, so he's not going to be like, no, actually, I'm in hell watching my own cowboy
Right.
movies.
I'm in hell with Ronald Reagan. Just kicking it out. Did you? I don't think we were on when this happened. Do you want to? This is so filthy. This thing came out. Somebody came out with a book about a certain period of time in Hollywood, and they were talking about how Ronald Reagan became president because notoriously, Ronald Reagan didn't want anything to do with politics. That was not his idea.
Mhm.
The whole thing about him becoming the governor of California and eventually the president was Nancy Reagan's. Nancy was the one who had all the political aspirations. It was just a period of time where women were not going to become the governor of anywhere and certainly not the president. So she pushed Ronald Reagan to become the president. And notoriously, Nancy Reagan was famous in Hollywood during the time where she was like building Ronald's brand as a politician for having for giving the best head in Hollywood. She was famous for just giving brain like nobody's business. And there was a week period, I think it was really my favorite week of 2021, where the internet
Yeah,
was just alive with memes
yeah.
about Nancy Reagan's like just dick game, and I was living for it. And I feel like if Nancy Reagan and John Wayne are in heaven with Ronald Reagan, like I wonder how many conservative cowboys like
Yeah,
just saying
yeah. That all started. I
that.
can't remember. I want to say that it was Candace Owens, or it was a different conservative woman,
Right,
and she was upset because Madonna had posted some pictures of
right,
her who was
right,
60, and she looks great. And she posted a picture of her, wearing a very nice, sexy outfit. And this person posted her picture next to Nancy Reagan,
right,
surrounded by a bunch of chuckle fucks. And
right.
she's like, I'd rather be Nancy Reagan when I'm
Yeah,
60 than Madonna.
yeah.
And everyone was like, let me tell you something about Nancy Reagan.
Let me tell you what John Wayne's doing in heaven right now. It ain't making cowboy movies. I promise you that. If he's got to beat him where old Nancy R is, he's probably enjoying his time in another way. Yeah, for sure. I love that though. And like, I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody for being like all time knee slide, just like gargle blaster. Good for you, Nance. Awesome. I think that's fantastic. It's only upsetting because they were trying to say that Nancy Reagan was some sort of moral paragon
Right.
and that Madonna wasn't, and that she wasn't because of her overt sexuality, when in real life, every single person in Hollywood at a certain period of time, and probably in Washington, D.C. at a certain period of time, had Nancy R. on fucking speed dial for every best Tupperware party in town. So,
Right. And
whatever.
Madonna's always been very open, and Nancy Reagan is a hypocrite because,
Yeah.
she was a moral majority, you know, and but we know about her.
Oh, we know all about her. We don't know as much about her as John Wayne probably does, but we do know Nancy. Oh, Nancy. I'm so glad we somehow managed to write that into the show. Ah, delightful. Thanks,
That was a
2021.
Yeah, that was a very funny moment of 2021. So we got time for one more, and maybe this kind of
Sweet.
ties into it. But you found the story of a
Oh, right.
fellow in Australia, right?
Yeah,
Who
this was actually from the Weird Week group too. The Tease Weird Week group is great. I just learned so much there all the time. There was a guy in Australia, an older gentleman who had been living with his mother. His mother passed away, and he was very, very lonely. And so he called a company in Australia who specialized in super real sex dolls, which has become a huge industry. It's like a bazillion-dollar industry across the world now. Um, he says not because he wanted to have sex with this doll, but because he wanted a companion, right? So he
Yeah.
got to pick what she looked like, and he bought her a bunch of clothes and a bunch of diamondette jewelry and like a wheelchair because she obviously can't walk. And this sex doll that is his companion. I did some more research. Ostensibly, people who are advocating for this dude and are supporting him are saying what's creepy about this is that it's an objectification. He wants to marry a literal object. Like he
Yeah.
wants to marry this doll, which is like his business, I guess. Whatever, marry whatever you want to marry. I like what do whatever you want. But also at the same time, that there's a lot of things about how he pictures women in general who are actual human people. If he thinks that he can marry a doll and it's the same thing and that should be totally fine. Um, yeah, he says it's not the same thing because these sex dolls now have AI in them. they have learning AI. So they
Mm.
can hold conversations and remember what you like and ask you questions, and like they can learn your vocal inflections so that they know that when you're happy or when you're sad, and they can ask you what's the matter when you're seeming a little down. Facial recognition features is a thing that they have. uh it's really wild. And he has this doll, and he wants to marry her. He wants her to be his wife. There's a whole section of how excited his friends at work were to meet her, and how they weren't judgmental at all. They were super excited, and he's got pictures of the two of them all over the internet. And yeah, that's a thing that's happening right now in Australia with this guy. Yeah, but it's not the only place that that's happening. There've been like lots of accounts of men specifically. I have not heard of this happening with women, although I'm sure it's possible because they do now. Like they have every kind of gender, and I'm sure there are women out there with these female sex dolls as well. But men specifically who are pushing for legislation to make it legal to make these unions legally recognized.
Hmm.
It's a real thing too.
Huh, I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. It's interesting.
I mean, it means like on one level, I actually think it's kind of neat because if we're creating machines that like conceivably achieve consciousness in a sense of like self-determination, like that one robot, Sophia, who
Right.
is she has legal citizenship in I think Saudi Arabia. Like she's a legal citizen of some actual country. There's a lot of questions about that because like technically speaking, they have a very like there's no real way to discern whether or not this robot has a consciousness or is just a machine whose job it is to replicate, to like make a facsimile of having a consciousness, because she speaks in a way that says she has self-awareness, which is what consciousness is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can legally marry a computer, then that makes them a real person, right? Technically,
Hmm.
sort of. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Very interesting. All right. Well, we're out of time for this week, but we'll pick this back up next Tuesday.
Yeah,
All right. Good to be back.
it's good to
And
see you. It's good to
good to
see
see you too.
everybody.
Yeah. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.